Bright Focus Foundation program offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Truth Nation, stand up and tap in. This is 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. MoviePass CEO Stacy Spikes wants a piece of the growing prediction market pie with his new platform called Mogul, where you can creatively bet on the success of your favorite movie stars and films. Spikes told Bloomberg he's building the model around sports betting, which he says drives engagement for leagues.
When people are doing that, they go to the games and watch the games 75% more. So the more that you're engaged in outcome and what you think is going to happen, the more likely you are to go to the movies.
Spikes in a conversation with Bloomberg TV's Romaine Bostick. It's a bold strategy, but Spikes thinks it could be the film industry's next big thing.
When you're doing sports are regional. Well, when something like Wicked opens, it opens worldwide. So you have no impediment to worldwide growth, so it could grow very fast.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh, the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping. Like a heartbeat's call, he's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a
President Trump wisely does not. President Trump wisely. Not remove options off of the table.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table. But as commander-in-chief, there's no greater priority or responsibility to this president than, of course, protecting the American people and protecting our troops. President Trump wisely does not remove options.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Monday, March 9th, 2026. We began the program with a bit of an interview, which involved Caroline Leavitt, who is the White House spokesperson, and Fox News host Maria Bartiromo. The draft was brought up. Could we find ourselves in a scenario with this military campaign we currently find ourselves in, not going as planned, going much longer than anticipated, and looking very much like the Iraq War in 2003. If indeed that was or will be the case, decisive action is going to be necessary. This president does what he wants to do. And for all of you saying that, oh, no, he needs the approval of Congress. No, he doesn't. Donald Trump put on tariffs on countries that he decided he didn't like. That's Congress's job. Then the Supreme Court ruled that the tariffs were unconstitutional. Then to respond to the U.S. Supreme Court, he said, now every country is going to get at least a 10 or 15% tariff. So he can defy Congress. He can defy the U.S. Supreme Court. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a war. There are minimum 17 countries that are currently involved. That is a war. Only Congress can declare war. But yet we find ourselves in this military campaign in which Congress did not declare anything except unwavering support for the president, including what seems to be unlimited funding. And so then when the draft gets mentioned, you have to assume, as the president's spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said, the president is not taking any options off of the table. Any other previous military campaign, you can go back to Iraq and Afghanistan, anything post-Vietnam War. If a president or a spokesperson for a president was asked about the military draft, they would say, absolutely not. We don't need it. We do not have mandatory, compulsory military service in this country. We have an all-volunteer military. We love the men and women who make the choice to serve their nation and sometimes have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. Any other president would very easily say, no, we're not going to institute the draft. Everybody relax, everybody calm down. I think Trump may, and I'm going to defend his ability to do it. And let me tell you why. There's a tremendous divide between American civilians and members of the military. It's 1%, give or take, of people that choose to serve in this military, meaning 99% of us do not. We don't know what it's like. We don't know much about the sacrifice. It's not discussed very often what military families go through. But also, wouldn't it engender a sense of pride if you were required for a period of time, not forever, a couple of years, required military service? Now, this does not mean you're going into a theater of war. You could find a skill. You could be involved in civilian duties. Your compulsory military service. I am literally supporting the draft right now because there's something that is missing in this country, and I think there's only one way to get it. You may disagree, but you can. Discipline, there's none. There's none. And parents aren't teaching it. And it's starting to manifest itself out in the streets. It's manifesting itself on these stupid crimes that are committed because people have zero self-control. They don't know how to regulate their emotions. We need this generation of young people to serve in the military because they need all of those things. They need exposure to opportunity. They need exposure to skills. And maybe, just maybe, we could give them some money for college. Now, also, as much as we don't like this country and we got a lot of complaints about it, and we should complain about it because that's a part of being a patriot. You want to make sure that your country is doing the best by its people. It's serving the wants, needs, and wishes of the people of this nation. Now, everything is not perfect here, nor will it ever be, but I'd rather be in the United States than somewhere else. We still have a higher standard of living. We still have options and opportunities here that we oftentimes take for granted. Your dreams can come true in this country. If you work hard enough and if you dedicate your life to something and you just stick with it and you continue and you learn about your craft and your art, you can be great. I firmly believe that. And we want more people to be great. But we're failing them dramatically. This could be an opportunity for people to see a different perspective. And you never know. There might be some young people that might want to pursue a career in the military. Of the servicemen and women that I have spoken with over the years, and there have been tons, a disproportionate number of them African American, said that going into the military was the best thing they ever did. 20 years of service, maybe they saw some combat, maybe they didn't. That's kind of dicey whether they saw combat or not. But for those that didn't, they loved it. They got to see the world. They got a skill, not to mention the benefits. The GI Bill, low-interest home loans, your medical care taken care of by the U.S. government. The benefits are, in fact, untold. But there's things about people that served in the military that is unmatched by those who have not. And it's discipline. There is an overt lack of it, and I'm getting tired of it. Now, here's the other part you all may not like. Trump issuing the draft and requiring people to, and everybody wouldn't go overseas. Let's be clear about that. There may be some civilian roles that people may have to fulfill or some logistics roles that they may have to fulfill, maybe in their hometowns, maybe in their state capital. Maybe they got to go to Washington, D.C., work at the Department of War, work at the Pentagon for a little while. I'm not sure. But I think this would be a very, very good thing because don't we have a whole bunch of complaints about the lack of discipline and the lack of direction of this current generation, these 18 to 25-year-olds? And guess what? All men got to sign up for the selective service. Here's what I would change. Women, you need to sign up too. No. Nope. All this equality stuff, which I support your desire for things to be equal, then they're going to be equal across the board. Women are all up in the military. They got very high ranks. They're brigadier generals and they're admirals and they're sergeants and staff sergeants and private sergeant, first class general, major sergeant. Folks just wouldn't like that it's Donald Trump who would be issuing this draft for compulsory military service. That means that elections have consequences. Even right now to this day, with the military campaign that we are in, let me be clear, it's a war that we cannot win. People still don't see the gravity of the consequences of elections. And if there is one person who is running for public office, maybe it's Congress, maybe the Senate, hell, maybe a governor, because governors have control over the National Guard. Maybe somebody is running for president, Democrat, Republican, independent, or anti-war party. People need to know that these elections do, in fact, have consequences. There could be somebody running on under whatever party banner saying, you know what, it should be required that American adults, young adults, be required, like in a whole bunch of other countries. You know that we're an anomaly. Other countries require their young people to serve a little bit. You got to serve your country. We still get benefits from living in the United States of America. Even though it's not perfect, we wish we had more. I think now the American dream has gotten so out of whack that everybody thinks that they're supposed to be independently wealthy and they're just supposed to be rich and not have to do a lot of work or not even have to have a special skill. We're just supposed to be rich. That's insane. Work ethic has been diminished. The internet has made it seem like everybody can be an influencer and everybody can have a podcast with 35 million viewers. That is insane. We are detached from reality. And even the discipline that I see in adults, and I still can't get away from this car accident that turned into a 47-year-old woman, a middle-aged woman pulling out an Uzi and waving it around, and then she gets shot, and we have the nerve to call her a victim. That's insane to me. You know how many people she could have injured had that Uzi gone off? How many kids she could have killed downtown? Now, what happened thereafter was also unnecessary, but we have an entire generation. I'm speaking about our community right now. I'm not worried about them other folks. They can worry about themselves. Where we have got parents that are so emotionally unstable. They are raising children, especially boys, that are as emotionally unstable as some of these middle-aged women. This is not boding well for our country. It's not boding well for our community. I think our boys need discipline because we are looking to them to be the men that are the protectors and the providers for our society, but they are undisciplined. They are quick to anger. They are quick to react. They don't know how to step away. They don't know how to walk away. They don't have an understanding that your actions have consequences because these boys are growing up like women. Sorry, ladies. Y'all don't have to take responsibility for anything. You don't. If a woman gets pregnant, it's not her fault. Now she's a lowly single mother who's also a victim of her own pregnancy. If anything happens to a woman and she doesn't like it, she can clearly blame somebody else. She goes out and expresses herself with her clothing, and if somebody looks at her wrong or looks at her disrespectfully, or if they happen to make a comment about her outfit, then that person is a creeper, that person is a sexual assaulter. So there's no real consequences nor responsibility. It's almost like if a little girl on the playground, boys learn this very, very early on. If a little girl hits you, don't you hit her back. She's a little girl. A little girl says something to you, don't you make her cry, even though she might deserve to cry because of what she said. No. Let women and little girls do and say whatever they want, and they don't have to take responsibility because they're the weaker sex. Fair enough, I'll give you that. But then when those girls grow up to be women and have lived their entire lives as protected women and protected girls to where they don't have to have any responsibility whatsoever for anything they do, they can blame somebody else. When those girls grow up to be women and they raise boys are the exact same way, and it's the downfall of our society. If Trump institutes the draft, it can be another useful example and a teachable moment that elections have consequences because far too many people thought it was sweet. They thought it was cute that Donald Trump got elected again. I think the consequences of his presidency need to be even more severe than they are because people still don't get it. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to give you pros, positive aspects of not just implementing the draft now and potentially sending well-trained, hopefully, American men and some women overseas to fight this war. Because if our country is in a war, we're all at war. We got to stop looking at this as the small number of people that signed up for the civilian military are at war. This is going to cost all of us. Gas prices are going to cost you. The downtick in the economy is going to cost you. But it should cost Americans much more than just money. We should be making sacrifices. Elections have consequences, and if you don't like this president, well, then you shouldn't have voted for him, meaning when the next Trump comes along, you will remember this moment and these days and times in which the election of Donald Trump the second time meant the draft got reinstated, so we're going to talk about it today. The discipline has to come from somewhere, and it's not coming from home. It's not coming from the church. It's not coming from community. I know that when people come out of the service, they're different people, ain't they? Backs are straight. Their confidence is high. They have earned every single meal they get when they are enlisted in the armed services. People nowadays don't earn nothing. Yeah, we're going to have this little conversation today because, elections have consequences. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Truth Nation is the best fan base in the country.
Been listening to you guys for probably a month. It's some change now, and this is one of my favorite radio shows. I'm 24, so I used to think talk shows was like an old head thing, and y'all got me hooked.
Welcome to Truth Nation. We want you to tap into the talk and text line every show, every day at 833-212-1017. Milwaukee Black Talk, 101.7 The Truth.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number, just for the record, is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. I'm wondering if any of you are opposed to a compulsory military draft in which people that are in America, we can even have a conversation about whether they are citizens or not. That could be a fast way to earn your citizenship. Enlist in the military. Provide services to the nation that is ultimately going to take care of you. Remember when the guy said it? Remember the fella that said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country? That was popular. What are you contributing? Rhetorical question. What are you doing? What skill set do you have that you are providing to make this world better? And if you can't answer that, then you're the problem. Everyone needs to take whatever their unique talents are, because everybody has something. Now, it might be a little bit more difficult to find those unique talents in other people, but I'm okay with investing in people until we find their talents, because we do have a lot of really, really wonderful and creative people in this nation. But their talents need to be put to use, and when they are not, we suffer. Our reputation gets weaker, and we are not looked at with any kind of respect. Our military bases in the Middle East are all being bombed, meaning the idea of American exceptionalism is gone. The only reason why those military bases were there was based on the idea that we could protect them. We're America. We got the biggest military on planet Earth several times over. I don't even know what the second place country is, but I assure you what we spend on weapons of war dwarfs those other nations. And so there's a protective factor. If you have an American military base in your country, you're good. You're protected by America. And so the trade-off is, okay, look, we'll protect your country with a military base. We'll have American personnel stationed over there. It'll be fully stocked and fully staffed. Ain't nobody going to mess with you because you have an American military base in your country, in Yemen, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Kuwait. You got an American military base, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to price your oil in dollars. It's called the petrodollar. You guys know about that? Because these other countries are like, no. We have our own currency. We don't want to have to do the exchange rate and have to use the American currency. No. We have American bases in your country. We'll protect you. Ain't nobody going to attack you. These American military bases that we have in your country will intimidate the world. You don't even have to worry about having your own military, because if there's an American military base in your country, you're good. The Al Udeid military base, arguably the largest one that we have overseas, was just attacked. They're still saying only 7 U.S. service members have died. Ladies and gentlemen, we are easily in the triple digits. And we're going to start burning through troops real fast. We are. But then you got a whole bunch of people over here not even paying attention to what's going on. They're not sacrificing anything. I don't think that's fair. You think that's fair? Because at some point, we are going to benefit from, and we do benefit from, or at least we used to, the perceived strength of America. Like, you travel overseas, well, before Trump, and people respect you because you're an American. There's a U.S. embassy in that country you're traveling to, and if you're in that country, you are protected over there like you were if you were here. That's a really, really big deal. But nobody sacrifices for that. We have moved away from knowing that hard work and labor, like somebody had to fight and die for the stuff that we don't even know about, the stuff that we completely take for granted. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that is us honoring our ancestry and what they had to go through for us to just sit around and just scroll on social media. We have it too easy. Nobody wants to produce anymore. Nobody wants to manufacture anymore. Nobody wants to work in a factory, even if they say they're bringing manufacturing back. Who wants to go work in a factory? And shout out to the people that did, because that's a part of my heritage and my history, and a lot of you, your parents, your grandparents, they did hard, back-breaking, grueling, mind-numbingly boring labor to provide a better life. But you know what it did? It built the country. We're not building the country anymore. Taking Instagram pictures, ladies and gentlemen, while the lighting and the filters make you look beautiful, we're not building the country. And if America has a reputation, I'm not really sure what it is right now, one that is to be respected, we need more people contributing to the respect that I think that Americans deserve. Now, I know you don't like the fact that Trump could be the one issuing compulsory military service or issuing the draft, but doesn't that also prove the fact that elections have consequences? You knew he was a wild card from the beginning, and I think some people still didn't take it seriously. He needs to do something drastic. And some people will say, oh, he's already gone far enough. Nah, no, he hasn't. He has not. Not until every person in this nation feels an unbearable kind of pain from this rogue presidency. Everybody needs to feel it. Far too many people are disassociated and detached. And by making some of these 18 to 25-year-olds go serve in some civilian or military capacity, I think that would change things just a little bit. Here's what it would do. It would strengthen national defense readiness. The United States currently relies on a volunteer military representing less than 0.5% of the population. This creates a narrow recruitment base, a compulsory service. Compulsory means mandatory. You're going to hear me say that word a lot. Compulsory, mandatory. A compulsory service system would, A, provide a large trained reserve force, B, reduce dependence on repeated deployments of a small volunteer force. Have we even thought about that? You do 2 or 3 tours somewhere overseas, that'll mess with you. That's not fair. Why is that fair? That the same people get deployed and then redeployed and redeployed, not to mention the cost. The cost just with their mental health alone. Why shouldn't, seriously, challenge me on this, because I don't know if any of you can. Why shouldn't we require some of these wayward, aimless, lazy, undisciplined young people to serve the country in which they live in? Why not? Well, because they don't like it here in America, but you're going to benefit. You got freedoms, you got opportunities, you got rights. Are they perfect? Well, of course not. But what happened to dedicating yourself to something and sacrificing to make something better, to be productive? We don't even have that anymore. And it's the lack of discipline for me, because it's adults that act like kids because they never had to grow up. I have never met, well, unless they're drinking, I've never met an immature Marine. When it comes down to it, though, right? You can count on them. A lot of discipline was involved in basic training. You become the best version of yourself. You can accomplish things you never even thought humanly possible. Don't we need to find that grit, find that mettle in the American people? Because I am sorely disappointed. I am. Reduce the dependence on repeated deployments of a small volunteer force and required military service would improve resilience in large-scale conflicts with peer competitors. I think it would make America an even more psychologically intimidating foe if other nations knew that everybody in this country over the age of 25 has some kind of military service, training, and discipline. You wouldn't want to screw with us. So instead of the maybe 1 million active duty and non-active duty servicemen and servicewomen, and maybe we have 1 million. What if it was 30 million? Or what if it was 40 million? What if the entire millennial generation had served in some capacity in the U.S. military, and they knew how to shoot straight, and they were disciplined, and they knew how to like build a road and like build a hospital out of sticks and twigs because they learned this during their compulsory military service. You know how much stronger and much more fortified the American economy would be? Because we would have people with a defined skill set and they would have discipline. There are, and I'm not going to name any names or any demographic groups because I think it cuts across all the different groups and income levels and cultures and whatever. You'll have people that are exceptionally academically accomplished. They go to the schools and they go to the colleges and they get the degrees and they get all the letters behind their names, MD, PhD, LPN, PPCC, LIC. They get all of the initials behind their name. And then you put them in the workforce and they don't know how to de-escalate situations. They don't know how to deal with conflict in the workforce. They are disrespectful to the people that they are managing. They have no understanding of the cooperation that is necessary when different types of people are all in a workforce or all in an office together. And it's interesting because some of the most accomplished people academically have the least amount of discipline. And when there's conflict that arises in the workplace, which happens every single day, the number of people, it's astonishing to me, actually. The number of grown adults, some of which are very accomplished, might even have great resumes, great education, that don't know how to deal with disagreements and conflict in the workforce, and they end up quitting or getting fired because they act like children. It's a lack of discipline. And if your mama and your daddy weren't disciplined, or if they didn't set boundaries for you, I can tell you where a lot of these children end up. If there are no boundaries set for children, then they think that there's no consequences to their actions because they can always, talk their parents out of it. I think my generation is different because we were constantly aware that every single one of our actions had consequences because for most of us, we were at home by ourselves. So if we were irresponsible and left the stove on and burned the house down, we couldn't say, well, Mama and Daddy were there and they allowed me to use the stove. No. Everything fell on us. If the house wasn't clean, if the homework wasn't done, if whatever activities you had to do around the house were not taken care of, we couldn't even blame anybody because it only fell on us. And I think that creates a particular kind of adult. Now, with other generations, they have these concepts. The first it was the bulldozer parent, which has screwed all these kids up, and the helicopter parent. So the helicopter parent is the one that hovers. Child is a horrible student, very disrespectful at school, undisciplined, always getting in trouble. The teacher says something until the child goes home, tells the mama. Or the teacher would call the parent, hey, your child is being disrespectful, they're disrupting the class, and now the mama wants to fight the teacher. Or the mom is yelling at the teacher, don't you talk about my baby that way. And so this child will grow up thinking that either mama's always going to be there to resolve their problems or mama's going to totally clear the way, bulldoze any obstacles. Then you put them in the cutthroat, competitive corporate workforce, and they fall apart. I've seen mamas, even call their child's employer. Why are you talking to my child like that? I think that compulsory military service would be a good thing. Countries such as South Korea, Finland, and our friends, Israel, maintain extensive trained reserves through conscription, mandatory military service. I'm going to take a break, come back. No, I think that we need it. Well, let's at least try it for 30 years. And then if it doesn't work out, if we're not a better country, a stronger country, a more prepared country, a more disciplined country, a more skilled country, then okay. In the year 2056, we can get rid of it. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
What's up, everybody? March 27th, go get your tickets. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be me, Finance After the Kumpo, my co-host, Tony C, and Nature Boy. Woo! Ric Flair. It's going to be nice. It's going to be dope. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be an experience, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's basically a party/podcast.
Yeah, we're throwing a party at the Riverside, March 27th, TALiveshow.com. Who's the guest again? Can I get a woo? Woo! With Ric Flair. Can't wait.
See you guys.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From Unilad.com. U.S. military draft rules explained as strikes on Iran spark World War III fears. The beginning of 2026 has started with the rumblings of a world war, with the U.S. and Israel teaming up to attack Iran, leading to fears that U.S. citizens will be drafted into the fight. War and conflict have always been a part of our patriarchal system, which has seen 2 world wars so far and thousands of individual wars over the years. Even now, there are more wars happening outside of Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Palestine. But the biggest right now is the major war on Iran, which has seen hundreds of people die, even more injured, and numerous countries brought into the fold just by being associated with the United States. Personally, I think that character, temperament, and discipline, you're going to hear that word a lot from me, matters when we pick a leader. Barack Obama had an even-keeled, some would say even too even-keeled of a temperament. But there also was a level of trust, and that you wouldn't think that someone that, like, he overthought every word he was going to say. That's why he had those long pauses and those ums. Barack Obama. He had to even think about his name before he said it. He was very measured, and I think a nation like ours that has such power at its disposal, that gets its wealth from the petrodollar, you guys realize how important that is? That nations, they don't even have to. Every nation has their own currency. I got to explain the petrodollar because you are witnessing the fall of the American empire, and most people don't even know how our empire was built. You know how everybody says, like, oh, the United States is the most wealthy, powerful country? It comes from the petrodollar. Just like when people say, oh, Milwaukee's the most segregated city, they still don't really know what that means. They just mean, oh, the blacks over here and the whites over there. Way more intricate, way more detailed, way more nuanced than just that particular talking point. The petrodollar means when your country buys oil, and every country does, you're going to price it in dollars. I mean, American banks and financial institutions get a piece of every single oil shipment transaction, and we can require every nation on planet Earth, because they're buying their oil in dollars, we can require them to purchase U.S. debt. That's why we can spend an unlimited amount of money. And in turn, because we got to give these countries something, we will protect those nations with American military might. But you must price your oil in dollars. That is why oil out on the markets is dollars per barrel. If I'm not mistaken, oil has gone up to $100 per barrel. For those of you that put gasoline in your vehicles, I feel sorry for you. And here's a bit of advice I would give you on March 9th, 2026. Fill your car up today. Some of y'all you ride around on E. No. Fill it up, because it's only going to get worse as time goes on. $150 barrels of oil. I think the highest oil has ever gotten is $147, and that was a killer. So $147 per barrel, you guys are looking at, California probably see $8-9 a gallon. In the Midwest, $5 or $6. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be very bad. But these nations agreed. So, okay, we'll price our oil in barrels. We'll buy our oil in dollars. We'll buy U.S. debt. We'll give American banks a piece of every single oil transaction. But in turn, you, United States, you better protect us. You better put some military bases in our country. If anybody messes with us, you better come and save us. The United States was like, cool, got you. Because we can spend unlimited amounts of money because the world is buying oil in dollars. But the moment the myth is shattered, when it becomes a fallacy, a big lie, smoke and mirrors about American exceptionalism and our huge military that can protect anybody, as soon as Iran bombed some of our largest military installations in which we had no defense for, it all crumbled. Now you are seeing nations work together and use their own currencies. Canada just did it. Canada just inked a deal with the country of India for the next 10 and 15 years for not just rare earth minerals, but other natural resources where the dollar has been completely cut out. The Canadian Prime Minister is and was a corporate banker, and he knows and understands the flow of money. There's a new currency called BRICS. They are cutting America out because it is not worth it to price your oil and your energy in dollars when the United States is as unstable as it is. And more importantly, the American people will elect a leader that sought to put the United States at war with everybody when it came to trade and tariffs. So there need to be consequences to this presidency that more people understand, because most of y'all, you don't know nothing about the petrodollar and about tariffs. People don't really get into all of that, but there is going to have to be something that's going to be a much more tangible consequence. This president, whether it was on the orders of Israel or his own fear and paranoia that Iran would get a weapon of mass destruction or a nuclear weapon, more Americans need to sacrifice. Because it's not fair for the very small number of people who are in our all-volunteer military for them to have to get deployed over and over and over again while the rest of us just scroll on the TikToks. Y'all, and you know it's not fair. We can just ignore people in the military altogether. The Afghanistan and Iraq war went on for 20 years. There would be weeks, if not months, you wouldn't hear nothing about it. They even stopped telling us about American service members that were killed over there. We just more concerned about sports ball. Who are the Texas Rangers playing today? Who did the Packers trade? Well, you got people on the other side of the world that are dying on our behalf, and that's not fair. And we have a problem with discipline. We have a problem with productivity. It's some of these young people, not all of them, it's not all of them, because those of you that have great, sons and daughters and granddaughters and nieces and nephews that are really out there doing stuff, that are moving and shaking, you're going to say, Sherwin, not my young people in my family. Okay, well, then they'll be exempt then. But for the wayward dude, nothing, living in the mama's basement, you got to get the kids out the basement now, because some of the kids are 40. You know what I mean? Like, that's not because you bulldozed them and you helicopter parented, and now your child can't cope with the real responsibility of the world. Because here's what a lot of folks may not know. That you can protect your children all you want to, but when they get out into the real world, no one cares about them. No one cares they're a little sad. No one cares they had a bad day. They got up on the wrong side of the bed, and then they come to work and they impact other people at the workplace. Like, that's the thing that gets me, because we've just been taught that from a very early age. Everybody's having a bad day. Everybody is. Everybody woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Everybody's arguing with their spouse. Everybody's got car trouble. Everybody does. You don't bring that to work. You are at your job to do what you were hired to do. Not, I don't want to do the work today. I got a flat tire. Even though you called AAA and AAA fixed the tire, I didn't like having to dial. A compulsory military service would provide a large trained reserve force, reduce dependence on repeated deployments of a small volunteer force, improve resilience in large-scale conflicts with peer competitors. Countries such as Israel, South Korea, and Finland maintain extensive trained reserves throughout conscription. Finland, as an example, can mobilize 900,000 trained personnel from a population of 5.5 million. Think about that. 20% of their population could be mobilized because they're trained. If that was here in the United States, that would be 60 million people. Wouldn't nobody want to mess with us if we had 60 million trained Americans ready to go? Take a break, come back, continue our little chit-chat. Also got a poll up on YouTube. We're going to get to that. This one's going to be fascinating. Which epidemic was worse, opioid or crack? Go and vote on our YouTube poll, youtube.com, search 1017 The Truth, hit subscribe, and you'll be able to weigh in on which epidemic you think is worse. I've got the details on which one was actually worse, because I know black folks still complain about the crack epidemic to this day. Because apparently, from 1985 until, 1999 or 2000, every black person was on crack, and everybody went to prison for it because it was just crack falling from the sky. So we're going to measure the two major drug epidemics and see which one actually caused more damage and more harm. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The revolution starts in our mind, right? You know when Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution won't be televised? Like he didn't mean that you won't be able to watch it on TV. He means the revolution starts in your mind. You nincompoop. Y'all been running around saying that for 60 years. The revolution won't be televised and didn't even know what the hell it meant. It starts with us.
Let him cook. Watch all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows by subscribing to 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving. You're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/VersityOnKing to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope. The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at Hawes Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact Hawes of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. One call, that's all.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Well, it looks like we have a couple of veterans in the YouTube chat. They always speak very highly on their service. They do. They enjoy it, I think. Or they see things or experience things that they otherwise would not have. I looked at the demographics of who enlists, and I was thinking, like, oh, it's poor people. Only poor people go into the military, and when they go over to war, we're sending poor people that don't have a lot of opportunities in life to war, and it's not fair. Wrong. It's almost evenly split between upper class, upper middle class, lower middle class. Poor people are underrepresented in the military because there's something that it's just an assumption. Like, oh, people that don't have anything else go into the military. No, they don't. Poor people are excluded because of criminal records, and they're out of shape because they're more obese. So I'm thinking, like, oh, the poorest people are the ones that were... No, it's not. It's mostly middle-income Americans that make up our military service. People that are on the lowest rungs of poverty, and because poverty it's got things that are endemic to it, don't make you fit to be enlisted. So here's what's crazy about the draft, because you would have to pass some basic kind of like mental and physical examination, which that's why I think if we actually had the draft and people were required to serve in the military, and I want this president to do it because I want everyone to feel the consequences of this presidency, because even still to this day, a lot of folks can still ignore it and look at other things and just distract themselves. Poor people will damn near be exempted. About time they get exempted from something, right? They wouldn't be able to go. But also, so many people would be, like, anxiety is at its highest level. There's a lot of people that have depression. So even if we did have a draft or compulsory military service that this president is reserving the right to enact, and if y'all think that Congress has anything to do with this, and you clearly have not been paying attention, because Donald Trump has been able to act completely and totally outside of Congress because they have essentially abandoned their duties to be a check as a co-equal branch of government. So he can do it if he wants to. And if we are running low on troops, and we will, because this is a 17-country war, y'all. Iraq and Afghanistan were basically those two countries. Those two. It is essentially the whole Middle East with France and the United Kingdom, because everybody's got to protect the oil. It's between 80 and 95% of Japan's oil comes through the Straits of Hormuz, all of their oil. And it's closed. The straits are closed. You think Japan is not going to want to get involved? They're going to have to. And if this becomes a global conflict, which in 2 weeks, it is, it didn't even take long. Usually, like with World War II, countries were like, I don't know. United States was like, leave us alone. The Europeans were like, yo, America, hey, it's 1933. Are you guys getting... No. America, please, stop it. Leave us alone. We're sleepy. 1939, Hitler takes over Austria and then Poland. America, yo, this dude is taking over all of the Europe. What's the United States do? Leave us. Oh, shh. We're busy beating up black people. Leave us alone. And the Japanese were like, yeah, all right. Boom! Now we're in the war. But we resisted. It took a while. It took... When did Hitler get into power? 33. We entered the war 8 years later. All of Europe was at war, essentially. United States was like, we don't want to. Within 2 weeks, with this military conflict, you've got almost 20 nations involved. And our military bases that we have in those other nations, we can't protect them. And you know, they keep saying, I think Pete, whatever his name is, former Fox News host. He wasn't even like a real host. He was a weekend host. You ever watch local news on a weekend? That's when they put in a B team. So Pete Hegseth was a B team weekend Fox News host. He keeps saying we have not ruled out putting boots on the ground. Do you know how many countries we're going to need boots? We only got 485,000 service members right now. That's not enough. I think some of y'all kids and grandkids need to go pick up an M16, because here's what's crazy. On the streets of Milwaukee, they're going to pick up a gun. Why not give them a gun and give them some training and give them a skill, give them a little military exposure so they can feel what it's like to get shot at? Then that'll get your mind right. You hear a bullet whiz by, very unsettling sound. Pew, ting, ting, ting. Very scary sound. Let them hear that a couple times, and they'll come back, and they will be the best office worker you ever could imagine. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
Another function of white supremacy, don't teach black people stuff, because if you give us a little bit of knowledge, we'll invent something totally new. That's why it was illegal to teach slaves to read, because if we could read, then we could write. And if we could write, we could communicate. And if we could communicate, we could plan. And if we could plan, we could strategize. And if we can plan and write and read and communicate and strategize, we could overthrow white supremacy, because they've always known how fragile it is.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 to noon.
Dad's gonna be far side, good.
What should I do with my dress?
Do little wiggles.
The slate's coming in. What does it feel like when you're down or having a bad day?
It feels sad, like you just don't want to do anything.
All my little emotions in my head is just running crazy. I don't know what to do.
As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed supporting kids' mental health?
I had never experienced players being so down that they can't even participate.
He's just in tears in the huddle. I didn't know what to do.
teachers need tons of help.
Kids Mental Health Foundation offers educational materials to help guide conversations with our students.
It's so important that we are constantly educating ourselves.
It's the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation has free tools and information developed by experts because kids' mental health starts with all of us. Scan the QR code or check out kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org to get started.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
Milwaukee's Black Talk lives here. You are listening to 101.7 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Flows with ease, cash checks, breaks necks, and wrecks MCs who ain't down with the sound of the panther movement. Intense is a serious.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Just giving you my thoughts and my feelings and my sentiments on how compulsory military service, I think it would be a good thing. It would get young people up and involved and sacrificing and learning and having some regimented discipline. Discipline creates and shapes boundaries, which are very necessary, and I think a lot of parents want their children to be limitless in what they ultimately can be and achieve. But there's a level of discipline that I think is missing because you cannot. How many people do you know, just a random poll of yourself, that are incredible? They're really talented. They have a skill that is unmatched. Like, you were in awe of this thing that they can do. But how many times have they been their own worst enemy because they have no discipline? You might know a ball player. You might know an incredible athlete that could dominate any league, but they keep running with the wrong people. They keep getting in trouble. What was the man? What was his name? John Morant kept getting caught with a gun every 2 days. No discipline. The number of people that are simply ruined, and they got a great talent. It really is, and you're in awe of it, but they keep messing up. And you get angry because you see how good they are. And you try to tell them, like, yo, stop messing up. You can be great. You can accomplish things. And they can't get out of their own damn way. It's because of that lack of discipline, and it's got to come from somewhere. Compulsory military service would promote civic unity and shared national identity. Ladies and gentlemen, don't we need some civic unity? You got Americans running around literally hating each other. Never met, don't know each other, never spoken a word, never shared the commonalities that they have. We all want the same things, but depending upon where you're from or the color of your skin or who and how or if you worship, that's all we need to know. We can hate you based on your identity, which is insane. That makes this country weaker than anything else. The fact that Americans do not have a spirit of first wanting to cooperate and work together under the guise of being an American. Now, I know there's some anger and there's some animosity, and we can be angry about history forever. I don't know how far that gets us. I think history needs to be taught. It needs to be studied. It needs to be learned from. But if we are going to carry over anger because of history, we won't get anywhere. I want to give a better example, because I'm not telling folks that they shouldn't be angry. But once the anger subsides, then what do you got? Then what are you going to do? What is that anger going to turn into? Because if it's not turned into something productive, it will be self-destructive, and we don't need more of that. It could be a man or a woman, and they met somebody. They dated. They were engaged. They got married. Well, after some time, the person that they were married to turned out to be not a very good person. And the marriage became strained, and the couple became estranged, and maybe they hurt each other very badly. Maybe the woman that was married to this man got hurt very bad. Maybe physically, we hope not. Maybe emotionally, and she's carrying the scars, and rightfully so, from that bad marriage. And a man, too, sacrificed his own happiness for the well-being of his family. Nobody asked him how he was doing. Nobody asked him how he felt. He just had to do. He had dreams. He had aspirations. Didn't matter, because he subscribed to happy wife, happy life. Well, she was out here cheating. Gave no respect to this man whatsoever. He's hurt. He's damaged. And in both cases with these individuals, maybe it was a woman who was hurt physically and emotionally by her husband, and she gets a divorce. And then the man who sacrificed his own dreams, his own happiness for the betterment of his family. He did everything that they asked him to do. He worked an extra job. He gave all the money to the household. He did everything around the house. He never even got a decent meal, but he did these things for the betterment of his family, and then he gets cheated on. Now, they get divorced, both of those scenarios I described. But then for the next 20 years of their respective lives, every single person they meet of the opposite sex, they hate because they were in a bad marriage. And they were hurt once before, and everybody they meet, they can't trust anybody. And that goes on and on and on. And at the end of the day, who does that hurt most? It doesn't hurt all of the people that they meet. It doesn't hurt all of the new people that come into their lives. It only hurts them. Life is unkind to all of us. No one is exempt from that. Life can make you angry. History can make you very, very angry. But if you maintain that anger, you will simply self-destruct. You're not making anything better. And I find it particularly interesting for us African Americans now, because when we were made aware of what our ancestors went through, holy smokes, do we get mad. We didn't experience anything like that. Nothing. If you were born like starting in the 60s, you were born into a world where black people had all sorts of rights. The previous generation did not. I'm not saying this stuff was easy for us, but we were born into a world that was a fantasy for our ancestors, and we're still mad. We're at a point now, as an African American, I do want to talk about the epidemics, because some of y'all are starting to answer the question already, which was worse, the crack epidemic or the opioid epidemic. We're at a point now where African American people with a history of slavery have so many more opportunities to be something, to do something, to pursue damn near anything, that now it's almost on us. Because if it was Jim Crow, then somebody could say, yeah, I can't vote. I can't decide on who my leaders are going to be. I can't work at this store. I can't use this facility. I can't go to the damn library because I am separated. I am segregated. The school that I go to is way more underfunded than the schools. Now, we're spending $20,000 a kid now. Now, we still have issues when it comes to education here, but per pupil spending ain't one of them, right? But a generation, 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago, they might spend $500 a year on a kid when it comes to their education if you lived in segregated Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, both Carolinas. So now it's like it falls partly on us if we are not successful, because we have so many options and opportunities now. But we still want to blame the system. And yes, I'm not discounting racism, but now it's a bunch of dumb white folk that we as black people should be able to collectively outsmart the ignorance that racism is. And I got a story here I hope I can get to today about, so this current youngest generation of Republicans, under the age of 30, that are being heavily influenced by Donald Trump. There was a group chat message with one of the higher ups in one of these Florida counties Republican Party. Their use of the N-word and them talking about murdering and slaughtering and dismembering black people it's astonishing, but it's also a wake-up call. That the influence of Donald Trump that a lot of us are struggling through is having a negative consequence on the youngest people that are getting involved in politics, because their formative years in understanding politics is hating Mexicans, hating illegals, overt racism, et cetera, et cetera. So they're literally forming their political identity based on the most extreme bits and pieces and elements of the Trump administration. And we have to be wary of this, because as these young Republicans get older, they will be policymakers. They will be members of Congress. They will get elected to the Senate. So the influence that Donald Trump has right now, and it's painful and it's very disappointing, it's going to get worse because there's a younger generation that's even more extreme. Like, they use the N-word freely. At least white folks now are semi-scared to use it because they might lose their job, kind of. They may have some kind of consequence. But when you have this youngest generation that's being influenced by Trump, not through one term, but also through two terms, they're not afraid to use the N-word anymore. And here's the other thing. If so many white people just start using it, there won't be any consequences anymore. And we're actually moving in that direction. Let's talk to Lisa. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Good, Sherwin. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
Listening to you, you're so right, but it's not going to matter. So you're telling me there's only 485,000? Is that including Navy, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine?
Active duty. There's some that are inactive. There's National Guard and there's reserves, but current active, just under 500,000. It's not enough.
So you tell me this idiot is going to go into war only 400, there were less than 500,000 active military people?
No, that's in the Army. My fault. 450,000 in the Army. Navy has 300, Air Force 300, so 1.3 million. Correction on my end.
Okay, that's still not enough.
No, because they got to take care of not just, being overseas and at our military bases. They have to be here domestically. They have to do all the Pentagon duties, the domestic duties. So, yeah, this 1.3 million across the world.
Yeah, like I said, it's not enough. Trump has really, he has really made what the Bible says. This is a third world country. It's going to fall. We are living in a boo-boo hole country, as he stated. We are third world country. You know what?
Hey, Lisa, before you go on, because I just want people that are listening to my program to have a fair understanding. And you have legitimate complaints with Trump as a man, as a leader. Right? He's doing terrible things. You probably would agree he's not the best person. But you didn't vote. You don't find that a little bit hypocritical? That you can complain about how bad he is, but you didn't take action that was afforded to you? No. I got to be clear about this, because that irritates me. That you can sit here and complain about him, but then you were proud of the fact that you didn't vote, and it was a black woman that was running against him. That's so wild to me.
Okay, we're not talking about that.
No, Lisa, actually we are. We're 100% talking about that. That you can complain about how bad he is, but then when you had an opportunity... I can't do it. And she's going to explain, what does voting have to do with anything? Listen, if you don't vote, whatever. I can't make you. But don't complain about the person that got more votes when you didn't take a vote away from him. Let's talk to the town. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Doing all right. What's on your mind?
I think that it's like to ask the American people to risk their lives for a war that this guy is putting up just to get away from some Epstein files, or because of Israel, for us to back that, that's totally BS. I think it's totally BS. We don't need no draft because we don't even agree on this war. Only 60% of people in the nation don't even agree with this war. And there's no act of Congress or nothing like that. So we don't need no draft. In fact, we don't need to be messing with this. We need to be washing our hands of this. And I usually don't say that because I'm one that believes that us as black people, if we want to take over the system, the best way for us to take over the system is by infiltration. We infiltrate the system and then we get it from the inside out. But this right here, no, man, we don't need no part of this because it's totally wrong, immoral, illegal on so many ways. It just makes us look like the bad guy more, and I don't think a lot of people gonna get a draft for this stuff. I don't think even if you did put it in the draft, it's not gonna make us. I mean, it's gonna make some of us more disciplined, I guess.
Well, most of us wouldn't. Yeah. So I think that there's an off ramp for a lot of our community because we wouldn't pass basic physical fitness or the mental readiness portions to be drafted, but our whole nation is involved in this war. Even if we don't support it, even if people didn't vote for Trump, there need to be consequences felt by everybody, because what really isn't fair is that we can just turn a blind eye to America being involved in a military conflict, but everybody in this country that's working and paying taxes is paying for it. There needs to be more sacrifice, and if people don't like the sacrifice that is being made, that will make some Americans probably participate more, get more involved, and be more careful and wise about who we vote for president. This was a man of poor character, among other things I could list, but he got elected anyway because most Americans think there won't be any consequences. We need to feel the consequences, and if they are not severe and felt by everybody, something like this will happen again, and it will be worse. And if requiring people to go and participate in a war that our president got us in will be the consequence that we need to be smarter about who we vote for next time, then I think that we need to do it.
How do anybody like this in control of that, Trump or whatever, expect our people to sacrifice for him and his move into the Middle East when he hasn't sacrificed anything for the American people?
But he won. He won the popular vote. The democracy won. The popular vote he won. He won all the battleground states, and he won the Electoral College, meaning he is the top diplomat and chief negotiator on behalf of the United States, and an overwhelming number of people voted for that. So if he puts us in a war, we're all in a war. You don't get an off-ramp just because you didn't vote for him. We are a nation, and this nation is at war. So we're already paying for the war, but that's not enough sacrifice because some people can just turn away. That's not fair for our servicemen and servicewomen and all volunteer military have to go send tour after tour after tour. We are ruining those people and keeping them away from their families when the rest of us, the other 99, but we also live in this country and there are benefits to living in America. For the most part, we are safe here. Our biggest threat really is one another, but we don't have to worry about foreign invasions. We do still have a great military. We got free public education. We've got all sorts of opportunities over here to be successful. We have chances to make it where a lot of other countries don't. That is a part of the great American experiment, but most people are not contributing to that at all. They're going to have to do something because we got a bunch of lazy, undisciplined people that have become a bigger threat to America than anything else. They need to do something. We can't just have people, especially young people, sitting around idle doing nothing. If you ain't going to do nothing, we'll give them a choice. Get up, go to college, get a job, start a business, or you're going into the military. We'll give them a choice. I won't make it a requirement. We're going to give them a choice. If they just want to sit around on their mama's couch, guess what? Get that M16 and do some push-ups. That's what they're going to do. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys don't like the way that sounds? Oh, if these young people were disciplined, if they got it at home, then we wouldn't have to do this. Because if we think that America is going to continue on this track and get better, first of all, Trump is undisciplined too. We want to produce less people like him. And by more of us having to sacrifice and potentially give our lives for this country, we may have less Donald Trumps because they will take military conflict serious. Trump and those like him can send anybody to war, send this country to war whenever they want because they don't even understand what it is. They've never served. They've never had to sacrifice for their country. And I have a feeling that the civic cooperation that will come from people from different walks of life, a black person from Chicago and a white boy from Oxford, Mississippi, having to serve right next to each other where their life is dependent on that person right next to them, the black man from Chicago and a white boy from Oxford, Mississippi, I guarantee the racism they may have without knowing each other will fade away when they're both getting shot at. Promote civic unity and shared national identity. The current all-volunteer force disproportionately draws from specific regions and socioeconomic groups. Military service, if it was required, could A, mix citizens from different races, classes, and regions. B, create a shared civic experience. And C, reduce political polarization through collective responsibility. Historically, World War II mobilization created one of the strongest periods of national cohesion in American history. The war effort linked military service with education benefits, home ownership, and social mobility. 3, it would build discipline, skills, and workforce readiness. A 2-year service period can function as a national training program. Participants would acquire leadership, technical training, emergency response skills, logistical and organization skills. Most adults don't have any of that. Many modern militaries train conscripts in fields like cybersecurity, engineering, logistics, and medical services. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talent acquisition at goodkarmabrands.com.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Eight 212-1017, 833-212-1017. Oh, look who we have here. Our foremost expert on foreign domestic diplomacy. Hi, Bob. How are you today?
Oh, Sherwin, you know that introduction is terrible. You know I'm nobody. But look, my best friend.
You got a friend?
Don't get smart. Don't get smart. You know, when he was 16, he just went into the service because he wasn't going to, finish high school. And he came back on heroin. He went to Vietnam.
That's not good.
Man, I mean, war is no plaything. And he was still my friend for about 20 years. I mean, his wife, when he comes to visit at 17 and 18, they use my car. And, we were the same age. And, I still think about him. He was really my best friend. He helped me move. And, and I got him about 5 jobs. These wars are no plaything. He don't understand. It affects a lot of people on the side, and not even the people that died. It affects them, but man,
it doesn't affect enough of us, though. How come you didn't go to Vietnam? You should have been drafted. Did you get a 1A?
No, I told you I got drafted, in 72. Okay. And then they said go back. They said go back to school because
you were in school. Because if you were enrolled in college, you were exempted. So you were enrolled.
No, they said the president died. That's what that woman said. Now I didn't know nobody that died except Kennedy. So I don't know why they said what 72.
There was no
drafted.
dead president in 70. I think you might just not remember it correctly, but all right. I was wondering if you got drafted.
No, the woman said that I never, ever, ever will forget. Go back to school, the president died, and I couldn't think of nobody with Kennedy. I'm just wondering why she said that.
So you had to go, so you got your 1A card, you had to go to a recruitment office, you got there, and they said, "Go. The president died, go home."
Yeah, go back to school, they said. This woman said that, I actually got drafted, man. And they had ended the draft. Now, you say they ended it in 75, but 72 that happened. And they had ended the draft in 72 to me.
You in particular, they didn't end the draft in 72 because you actually got drafted. You just got rejected. Because if the draft had ended, Bob, you never would have received a 1A. So the draft was still going on. You just didn't get drafted into the war for whatever reason. Personally, I think you weren't fit. But that's good, though, because had you gone to Vietnam, Bob, you wouldn't be on the phone with us right now. I have a feeling your ass wouldn't have made it.
Talk to you, lady. You smart aleck today. Boy, I tell you the truth.
I'm just saying, Bob, this is a good... Oh, he hung up. He got mad. Bob, your life got saved. Bob be over there trying to negotiate with the Viet Cong. Now, looky here now. Why y'all shooting at me? I'm just good old Bob. Brrr, brrr, grr, grr, boom, boom. Hey, now, why y'all shooting at me? Do y'all want to hear me play saxophone? Brrr, grr, grr. Hey, Al, how are you today?
I'm doing good, and I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm going to have to push back. We should not be in no wars, and I am against the draft. I feel that nobody, black or white, should have to die for a white man's war.
Why?
Now, Trump...
It's everybody's war, though, Al. Everybody is at war.
Wait a minute. The thing Trump said, people who are in the militaries is suckers and losers. So if we're suckers and losers, they should not be fighting for his white ass and a bunch of goddamn Jews that's using the United States as welfare that see blacks as slaves. That's not our battle. He said himself, I don't care about gas going up as long as Israel is okay. They got universal health care. They're trying to take health care away from here. Every kid that's born in Israel gets money put in their account until they're 18 so they can get an education or start a business. We don't have that here. We're not looking at the mental issues from war. We're not looking at the PTSD from war, and I've seen it because my father fought in Vietnam. We're not looking at the people who are going to lose family members in war while he's sitting on his fat ass, and you got them goddamn racist Jews milking the system, and you have people who lost their lives who got nothing but a cemetery and a box full of maggots that's going to fight for a racist cave monkey because he don't want to be put under the fire. I don't think it's right. And we should not be in that battle at all. If people feel they want to fight and they want to fight, they can go get their MFing goddamn ass and go over there to Israel.
But Al,
every single time.
Don't we have a bunch of lazy, unmotivated folks, bunch of sapsuckers, you call them, right here in Milwaukee? They ain't doing nothing, causing trouble. All they want is low-income housing. Wouldn't they be better served if they got a little discipline and got a skill? Because I hear you talk about them people, Al. You know, the ones that ain't doing nothing.
And you absolutely right, but not dying for no white goddamn cave monkey. Because all they're going to do is exploit the blacks, put them on the front line like they did in Vietnam. If these people over here going to die, it's going to die at their own hands. They're not going to die for no racist-ass cave monkey. That's totally different because they're going to take them black boys, they're going to be on the front line dying, they're going to be over there probably being molested right now, just like these Republicans who still popping up in the media for molesting children. So if they're going to die, they're going to die at their own hands, not because of a racist white man. You can't talk about people in the military while you ain't putting your wife over there, you ain't putting them white-ass kids you got. You got these racists sitting on an uncooped, pale, thin-lipped monkey ass, and they supposed to go over there and die. Let them white-ass goddamn racists go over there, and they can take their MF and they can die over there. That's not our battle.
All right, Al.
And if the gas get enough, we can go buy a goddamn electric car and be just like you. How about that?
I'm not opposed to that. Thank you for your commentary.
All right.
Okay, then. Ooh, Al got fired up. But I've also heard that same passion from him talking about people right here in Milwaukee. Let's get away from this is the president's war. We're all at war. We selected a president who was undisciplined and doesn't care about how he disposes of American military assets and resources. That decision is on us. And so what I want people to better understand, because we're so fractured as a nation, some people will literally say, oh, Trump ain't my president. I didn't vote for him. Yes, he's your president. Anybody who gets elected via the process we have in this country is your president. You can't divorce yourself from him nor his policies. At some point in the future, when Trump is long gone, someone's going to ask you, well, what did you do while Trump was president? You can't sit here and say, well, he wasn't my president. No, you live in this country like everybody else. And so we all have got to take a higher responsibility for who gets elected. And because so many Americans can look the other way if we're involved in a military campaign because so few of us choose to serve, that's not fair. We got to take this very seriously. And I think it is incumbent upon both Democrats and Republicans to really drill down during the primaries where our candidates stand when it comes to putting American soldiers in harm's way. And if more of us knew that our friends, our family, our children, our grandchildren could get drafted, we would take elections more seriously. Because here's what I'm getting tired of. People that didn't vote for whatever the reasons are, but then talk about how bad Trump is. Oh, he's just so terrible. There was one thing you could have done. one thing that millions of you could have done and literally opted not to. You know, the biggest cohort of people in this country are people that don't vote at all. They are the biggest special interest group, people that cast no ballots in elections. If they decided that Donald Trump was a man of poor character and they didn't like some of his associations, his affiliations, or maybe they didn't like the fact that he has gone bankrupt 7 times and he has 34 felons, if the group of people that don't vote would have said, you know what, let's give the lady a chance because at least she's got a record of public service, we very well may not be in this campaign right now. We might not be. But we all have to see this as a collective. The whole United States of America is at war. If you, being a U.S. citizen, I'm assuming that you are, you go travel somewhere, you're going to sit here and try and convince that other nation. Let's say it's a nation that hates the United States. Are you going to sit there and try and convince that country or people in that country, oh, but I didn't vote for Trump. They don't care. You're an American. Doesn't matter if you voted for him or not. Take a break, come back. Do want to talk about which epidemic do you all think is worse? Because black folks still use a crack epidemic like it's the reason why we don't have jobs today. I don't really remember that many crackheads. Not to where it has impacted the progress of the black community 40 years later. So which epidemic do you think is worse? Crack or heroin opioid? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Just a little one of those funk
know what I'm saying? As we go a little something like that. Hey, stop, mister, I want you passing, you're missing the.
Welcome back to the program. You can never go wrong with a little Cypress Hill. Never go wrong with that. Kiwan says, it's a very important point they make. Kiwan says, you have to realize the people that are watching this show and communicating on this platform are probably not the people who are on the ground selling and dealing with the crack epidemic. I'm pretty sure that most of the listeners' parents weren't hooked on crack and weren't in the streets selling crack to their families. Sometimes these questions proposed are not accurate for the listener. You don't know who my listeners are. The listeners of this program cut across age, race, income, education. And yes, because there are people that are texting right now remembering very fondly of how bad the crack epidemic was. So when we talk about the epidemic, Kiwan, we got to broaden our horizons a little bit. It wasn't just the people that were selling it and using it. It was the families that were impacted. It was the mass incarceration because people went to prison because there was over-policing in the black community because of crack, where other people got ensnared in mass incarceration. Fatherlessness, joblessness, deindustrialization, all of that is rolled up into the crack epidemic. And what if you were a working family, a mother and a father and kids, but the neighborhood that you lived in, because we had housing segregation still, was surrounded by people that were selling, smoking, were addicted to crack cocaine. And then there was the gang violence. So they were impacted too. And those are listeners, the children and the grandchildren that are listeners of this program. So the impact was not just the user. And I would argue this. The proliferation of legal marijuana, in my opinion, because it's almost like alcohol, which is as dangerous and deadly a substance as you will find anywhere, but it's accepted. It's socially acceptable, and it allows people to use alcohol both responsibly and irresponsibly, but the irresponsible people get to just blend in with, oh, this is just how we celebrate. But marijuana, I think, and the way people recklessly use and abuse it because it is legal in most of the country has also contributed to a lack of productivity. But it's looked at differently. And so with black people, because I don't know if we thought this was some great salvation for us when marijuana would be legalized, and maybe our incarceration for selling and distributing marijuana has gone down, which I don't think it actually has, because if you're selling marijuana, you still can get in trouble for it, because if it's not licensed through a dispensary, it's still a felony. But we're consumers of marijuana. We thought that marijuana entrepreneurship would be good for us. Black folks, if you look nationwide, the people that are making the most money off of these dispensaries are not even close to black, because the price of entry to get a dispensary, to get all the licenses you need, to get all the approvals you need, costs millions of dollars. So what you have, and what we're worried about here in Wisconsin, is there are people who have been in the dispensary business, let's say for 30 years. Because California legalized medicinal marijuana in 1996. Isn't that crazy? A whole generation has passed since marijuana was first legalized in California. So you got 30 years of institutional knowledge on how to run a marijuana business. And then you have Arizona, you've got Nevada, you've got Washington State and Oregon, all of these West Coast states that have many, many years, if not decades, of experience running a dispensary. If we were able to get recreational marijuana in Wisconsin, it wouldn't even be run by Wisconsin people. It would be run by people who have been owning dispensaries on the West Coast, in some cases for 30 years, that would come to Wisconsin and start dispensaries. But because there's so much marijuana everywhere, and it's really, really potent, it's dangerous, in fact. The amount of THC that is engineered into marijuana right now, that's a drug problem too, but for some reason we accept it, just like alcoholism. But going back to the crack epidemic, it wasn't just the people that were smoking it and that were selling it. It was everybody that was impacted by all of the unintended consequences of that epidemic. And I wanted to do a comparison because to this day, we as black people will still use the crack epidemic as like a number one reason why we are not seeing more success right now. Like, we're going back to 40 years ago and say, well, because of the crack epidemic. That's like the person who was in a bad relationship 30 or 40 years ago, but they're still blaming everybody right now. They're still mad at the world because of something that they went through. You guys know the whole myth about the crack baby? Of course you don't, because that was propaganda. That was a way to marginalize and discriminate against black women that had a drug problem. They say by the age of 2, a child that was born addicted to crack cocaine, fully functioning, normal IQ levels and the age of 2 was actually late. It was actually before that. We made it seem like, oh, we have this whole generation of crack babies. That scientifically, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't exist. Because we want to find reasons to attribute to the behavior of some black men and black women. Say, oh, well, they're the children and grandchildren of crack babies. The whole thing about a crack baby was made up. Yes, kids addicted to cocaine are more likely to be born premature, might have some other birth defects, but for the most part, by the time those children reached the age of 2, you would have no idea that they were born addicted to crack. But it was another thing that they used to marginalize and discriminate against black women who consequently still have the highest maternal birth rate, or death rate rather, than any other group. That was just used as an excuse. And the reason why I want to do a comparison, I'm going to take a break, come back and get into the details of comparing the opioid crisis and the crack epidemic, is because white people who were dramatically impacted, poor whites, poor Southern Appalachian whites, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, the deaths from the opioid crisis way outpaced the deaths from the crack epidemic. The crack epidemic was like the death of community, not the real death of people. For some reason, crackheads live forever. I don't know. They're impervious to like measles and mumps. They like crack, but they just didn't die from crack. They just smoked a lot of crack and would wash your car for really cheap, but they didn't die from it. But white people aren't using the excuse of the opioid crisis as to why so many of them are disenfranchised and poor. Have you noticed that? You will never find a poor white person saying, well, you know, the opioid crisis really ruined our community. And here's what's crazy. It did. When I get into the details of how much worse the opioid crisis was than the crack epidemic, you're going to wonder why white people are not using that as an excuse. Like, we still use crack to this day. Well, you know, it's cold in Wisconsin, and black people don't get our streets plowed when it snows because of the crack epidemic. Well, you know, North Division High School doesn't have a soccer team because of the crack epidemic, you know. I travel and I go on vacation. I see a bunch of black people on a cruise and they're all twerking. Well, that's because of the crack epidemic. Did you know that we get more precipitation in the black community because of the crack epidemic? We literally use it for the excuse for everything. I didn't get a very good interest rate on my credit card. Well, because of the crack epidemic, of course. For some reason, I keep dropping my iPhone and keep cracking the screen. Oh, cracking the screen? Crack epidemic. Take a break, come back. Let's decipher the myth, shall we? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Sweet Talk's medical spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Presley. My love for animals began when I was 5 years old. That sparked a lifelong commitment to speak up for animals who can't speak for themselves. Elvis and I supported American Humane Society because your compassion can change a life. American Humane Society strengthens the bond between humans and animals. Please visit AmericanHumane.org to learn more. Thank you.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In the year 2026, we have enough data, the economic costs, all the details of addiction prevalence, incarceration, long-term social disruption of both sweeping and pervasive epidemics. And maybe there is some truth to the long-lasting and unintended consequences of the crack epidemic. I'm going to use myself as an example, even though you're not supposed to do that. That's called using a heuristic, which does not represent the whole. In 1994, I was 19 years old. So the over-policing and the negative stereotyping of the super predator and young black men being dangerous, that was for me specifically. I was at the perfect age to be caught up in the dragnet of mass incarceration due to the 1994 crime bill, which also needs to be stated that black people wanted that legislation. Please stop thinking that a bunch of white folks all came together and said, yeah, let's really hammer down on black folks. They was doing that already. We as a community, politically engaged and politically astute African Americans, were tired of the lack of economic opportunity and we're tired of the crime and tired of the violence. Think about the black families that were working hard and navigating through the crack epidemic, but they weren't using, selling, had nothing to do with crack. They didn't want the gang violence. They didn't want the drive-by shootings. They didn't want to feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods. They called for mayors, governors, members of the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate to do something. Now, this is another teachable moment. Whenever we as black people call for heavy-handed law enforcement, there's always an audience willing to oblige us. Because remember, being tough on crime helps you win elections. And if there is crime to be tough on, well, then of course you're going to have both Democrats and Republicans saying, well, we'll join in that crusade to be tough on crime. Absolutely. Black folks are way more socially conservative than anybody ever wants to admit. If somebody is messing up or screwing up or making us look bad, because don't we say stuff like, we hear about an incident, like a shooting. First thing we want to know, were they black? Because we do not, as a community and a culture, we don't want black people involved in violence. And when they are, we hate it. Because it makes all of us look bad. That's being socially conservative, and there's nothing wrong with that. When black folks commit crimes, especially against one of us, we want them in jail forever. When was the last time you heard a black person say, oh, well, that black person, what did they do? They killed 5 people? They shouldn't go to jail for that. Give them rehabilitation. Oh, we don't never say that. We want them put under the jail because they deserve it. Because if you as a black person are contributing to the lack of subjective safety that black people feel, then to us, you're worse than white folk. Using available data across deaths, economic cost, addiction prevalence, incarceration, and long-term social disruption, the evidence indicates that The opioid epidemic has caused far greater total societal damage in the United States than crack. However, and there is a however, the crack epidemic caused more concentrated damage to specific communities and the criminal justice system, particularly black urban communities. One of the differences is that the black impact of the crack epidemic was pervasive. It didn't really impact other communities like it impacted us. But the opioid crisis impacted them disproportionately. And since 2018, black opioid deaths and overdoses have gone up. So we, too, were impacted by the opioid crisis, but it was way, 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 way worse than crack. With the crack epidemic, it was concentrated, central cities, urban areas, black communities. The opioid crisis was literally coast to coast, and pharmaceutical companies were complicit in it. The Washington Post did a story. I'm not a subscriber to the Washington Post anymore because Jeff Bezos lost his damn mind. But there was a story where there was a particular pharmacy in, must have been rural West Virginia, because those folks were guinea pigs for experimenting with the dosages of opioids that human beings could tolerate. And they're poor. Like, poor white people are more disposable, quite honestly, than poor black folks are. There was something like 1,000 pills available. It was a little small corner farm. It was tiny, itty-bitty little pharmacy. This little small little mountain town, I think, in West Virginia somewhere, where they had like 1,000 or thousands of opioids, like really, really high milligrams of Oxycontin, like thousands per resident. And then they had the network of doctors where, you know, you go to this doctor and they prescribe you opioids, and then that doctor won't prescribe you anymore because you're showing signs of addiction. Then you go to another doctor. They called it doctor shopping. And these doctors, and you have to wonder why they would be involved in continuing to write these prescriptions for their patients, because they take this Hippocratic oath that says first do no harm. But the doctors were getting cash kickbacks from Purdue Pharma and other manufacturers of these very, very addictive pills. And then eventually the people could not get any more prescriptions. Boom, they turned to heroin, because heroin is cheap, dirt cheap. The pills, expensive. For the deaths that were caused by the opioid epidemic, which we'll get into when I start hour 3 in about 4 minutes, caused Purdue Pharma to be on the hook, essentially. And they were fined $4 billion for the untold damage they did to cities and towns and, quite honestly, the nation through their manufacture of doses of Oxycontin is something like 160 milligrams. That could tranquilize a horse. But people that were addicted had tolerances that were so damn high, they kept upping the milligrams of basically this addictive poison. It's synthetic heroin is what it is. And it was interesting because the components that are necessary to make these opiates come from poppy. When we were in the war against Iraq and Afghanistan, northern Afghanistan is where a lot of these poppy fields were. It was the most militarily occupied place in the world, but the opium and the poppy flowed more intensely while it was occupied by U.S. soldiers during the war in Afghanistan. Imagine that. Purdue Pharma got fined $4 billion. To this day, they've paid nothing. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after. An in-depth recap of every Bucks game. In 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus audio network. If you missed any of the game or just want to relive the biggest moments, Bucks in 6 provides game recaps every morning after. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis or the deep threes from Miles Turner. And catch the comments post-game about what happened on the court. Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus audio network. Find it now on Bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Never miss a moment of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on the new 1017 The Truth.
You know who's responsible for those kids' safety? Everybody at Waterford High School, the police, the law. decency, morality is responsible for those kids' safety. Had the Rufus King High School students been physically attacked, that's not the fault of the coach. That's blaming the victim. Come on, you know better than that. It would be the fault of the attacker.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Milwaukee Black Talk.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, I had so many questions. I didn't even know that it was cancer. Now I do. It is cancer. Blood cancer. It's actually one of more than 100 different types, and they're all treated differently. Now, unlike some other forms of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time. I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
Breaking news, weather, entertainment, and sports. We have it all here. This is 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Let's tell the truth about the crises that impacted our country severely. Some would say the impacts of the crack epidemic are still going on right now. Personally, I blame racism because we don't always see the little insidious places in which racism and racial bias and institutional racism can still live. We want to blame things that are overt and obvious, like, oh, it's a bunch of black people on crack, and then people put us in jail because of the crack, and they had higher incarceration rates for powder cocaine versus crack cocaine. And they probably should have, because crack was dangerous. It was more dangerous. It was more addictive. The high was more pronounced, and it was cheaper. So, yes, they probably should have had stiffer penalties. The problem is we didn't follow the total trajectory of how we enforce the law and all the things that black communities wanted, black voters wanted to mitigate the damage of the crack epidemic, because it was hurting us and it was hurting our communities. And it was mostly black people selling crack to other black folks. Oh, of course we sold it to white people, by all means. Because crack was interesting because you don't have to take out an ad in the paper to sell crack. You just have to have it. And then people will buy it from you. So your marketing budget was basically zero. Try that nowadays, having a successful business with no marketing budget, right? With crack, you just have to be like, yes, I have some. You don't have to take out an ad. You don't have to run ads on 1017 The Truth. That would be weird if you did. Hi, are you looking for the best in crack? Hi, call us. Find us in the whole Milwaukee Facebook group. Talk about an open-air drug market. But we wanted something done about it. But then when we looked, many years later when the smoke cleared, literally, and somebody just did a real simple analysis, because critical thinking is gone. Like nowadays, like there's studies that actually show that if you are in your like teens, 20s, and 30s now, the critical thinking that existed a generation before you is leaps and bounds more significant than now. There's something about the interplay of the internet and how it just reduced and eliminated people's critical thinking or their ability to think deeply. It's embarrassing. And so people looked at all the details and all the data from the crack epidemic. Like, oh my God, a bunch of black people went to prison. The bill must have been racist. Oh my God, it destroyed black families. A bunch of black men went to prison and black people were incarcerated, and 53206 is the most incarcerated zip code. The crack epidemic and the 1994 crime bill was so racist. Maybe. But if black people wanted legislation that put other black people or anybody away because of their involvement in the possession, distribution, and the creation of crack cocaine, if black people wanted it, is it still racist? And if white people obliged us and wanted to enforce that law, again, is that racist? We can't just say, oh, the impacts impacted black people. Yeah, but black people were also the victims, innocent victims. Now, addiction we deal with differently, because addiction it's a mental health issue, and we haven't really prioritized mental health like we do physical health. In the last 10 years, it's probably becoming a little bit more popular, a little bit more acceptable to deal with mental health issues. But in our community, it is still stigmatized. And people that are addicts and black folks, we have no shortage of them in our community. It needs to be dealt with like a mental disease. Now, it can have physical manifestations, but it still is a part of mental illness. And we have this stigma against it. So whenever there's an epidemic and an addiction possibility, we are always going to get the worst end of that because we still have this stigma when it comes to mental health. Using available data across deaths, economic costs, addiction prevalence, incarceration, and long-term social disruption, the evidence indicates that the opioid epidemic has caused far greater total societal damage in the United States than the crack epidemic. Remember this one, though, too. Fentanyl, which is also an extension of the opioid epidemic, just when things were starting to like maybe peak a little bit when it came to the heroin use and overdosing of heroin, boom, fentanyl comes in, and it's even cheaper yet still. And the thing about Fenty, they can put it in your weed. One thing I guess I can say is if you buy marijuana from a dispensary, it probably doesn't have fentanyl in it. But if you buy your sack from a dude named Rodney with 7 felonies and a 9mm hanging out of his pocket, that's a risk. You know what I mean? Like you're gambling. Since the late 1990s, over 600,000 Americans have died from opioid overdoses. Annual deaths peaked above 110,000 in 2023, with most of them linked to fentanyl. Even after recent declines, overdose deaths remain the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 44. Crack did not do that. Crack was not a leading cause of death for people aged 18 to 44. Now I'm starting to think about it. Maybe if we had individuals from the age of 18 to 44 doing mandatory military service, they wouldn't be on the heroin and the Fenty. Roughly 50 to 80,000 deaths per year for more than a decade in the opioid crisis. Crack didn't kill that many people. Crack cocaine contributed to thousands of deaths, but that's everything. That's the gang violence and shootings and all of it. But nowhere near the opioid levels. Cocaine-related deaths in the late 80s and early 90s were typically 3,000 to 5,000 a year nationwide, compared to 50,000 to 80,000 deaths for over a decade because of the opioid crisis. It's not even remotely close. Conclusion: opioids cause far more deaths by at least an order of magnitude. Next, we'll look at the economic cost to society. Oh, that's a big number. The opioid epidemic, estimated in 2023 dollars, has cost us so far $2.7 trillion. $1.5 trillion in 2020 and $1 trillion plus annually since the late 2010. So $3 trillion. That's $1 trillion is a lot. I think it's I'm gonna give you the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. It takes 12 days to count to $1 million. Does that sound about right? I think so. 12 days. I'm doing this from memory. So this is the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. I can't even conceptualize $1 trillion because we hear that number, we're like, oh, it's big. It's astronomically insane. The difference between $1 million and $1 billion. And $1 trillion is 1,000,000 millions. It takes you if you're gonna start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, until you get to $1 million. It's gonna take you 12 days. Counting to $1 billion, it'll take 30 years. So then I guess I could deduct counting to $1 trillion would take 12 million years. The opioid epidemic has cost this nation $2.7 trillion. Side note on big numbers. I found out about another number. Have you all played cards before? I'm sure you have. Play spades, tonk, or gin rummy. Maybe you play the solitaire or you play hearts. There's this number that exists. I just found out about it. I clearly spend too much time on the internet. It's called 52 factorial. And it's written, the number 52, with an exclamation point. When you get bored, Google it. You will be fascinated. 52 factorial. It is all of the different combinations that a shuffled deck of 52 cards could ever be in. 52 factorial, like it's the possibilities are literally infinite, but they found a way to conceptualize it. So when you shuffle a deck of cards and you deal the cards or you lay all the cards out face up and then you pick them back up and you shuffle them again, chances are the order that one shuffled deck of cards has been in has never existed before because the possibilities are almost endless. Here is how they conceptualize 52 factorial since we're talking about big numbers. Don't worry, we'll get back to the crack epidemic and the opioid epidemic, even though the opioid epidemic was dramatically, infinitely worse than the crack epidemic, but black people always need an excuse for why we're not doing well now. If you took... So the Earth is 25,000 miles around the equator. Okay, that's the circumference of the Earth. Get this. All right. So with 52 factorial, if you took one step every billion years, by the time you got listen to me, a billion years, one step, okay? 3 feet every billion years. By the time you got all the way around the Earth, here's what you then have to do. So 1 billion years per step. The Earth is 25,000 miles around, and you're taking one step every billion years, okay? Then once you've made a complete revolution around the Earth, you take one drop out of the Pacific Ocean, a drop, and then you wait another billion years to take another drop, okay? Once the ocean is empty, you get a sheet of loose leaf paper, okay? 1 billion years per step, you've drained the Pacific Ocean with 1 billion years passing between each drop you take out of the Pacific Ocean, okay? Once you've made it around the Earth and you've drained the Pacific Ocean, one drop at a time, with 1 billion years in between, you get a sheet of loose leaf paper. By the time that loose leaf paper gets to the sun, you've only gone a third of the way of 52 factorial. Isn't that wild? 1 billion years per step. By the time you travel 25,000 miles and you get back to where you started from, then you take a single drop of water out of the Pacific Ocean until it is empty. And you're waiting 1 billion years in between little eyedroppers of water out of the Pacific Ocean. Then you get a piece of loose leaf paper, and until that loose leaf paper is stacked 93 million miles to the sun, you still have 66% still left on the clock at 52 factorial. That's wild to think about. I'm not even lying to y'all, I got so sucked down into the rabbit hole on 52 Factorial that I think I watched like an hour and a half's worth of documentaries on it. And that is the number of combinations that a deck of cards could potentially be in. So when you shuffle a deck of cards, whatever combination of cards comes out in that deck of that one shuffle, it has never been seen before and it never will be seen again. And it's just a deck of cards. The opioid epidemic costed $2.7 trillion in 2023 dollars. Previous estimates $1.5 trillion by the year 2020 and $1 trillion plus annually since the late 2010s. Costs include lost productivity, healthcare, criminal justice, deaths, and reduced quality of life. Crack epidemic. Drug spending in the late 80s was tens of billions of dollars, far smaller in inflation-adjusted terms. Correctional and policing costs increased substantially due to drug enforcement and incarceration. Deaths in the crack epidemic at its height, 3,000 to 5,000 a year. Addiction prevalence. About 5.7 million Americans are living with opioid use disorder. Crack cocaine in the mid-'80s, roughly 5.8 million Americans reported cocaine use, but not all were crack addicted. Addiction levels were comparable at peak, but opioids have persisted longer and expanded geographically to include rural and suburban America. Crime and incarceration. This is one where crack might take the cake. Let's see. This is the one category where crack did have a larger social consequence. Crack epidemic impact triggered the war on drugs escalation, mandatory sentencing laws, massive incarceration expansion. But I don't know if white communities and rural white communities called for more incarceration due to opioids. We wanted more people going to jail during the crack epidemic. Massive incarceration expansion during the crack epidemic. U.S. prison population grew from 240,000 in 1975 to 1.4 million by 2019. Among black men, 1 in 4 aged 20 to 29 incarcerated or under supervision by 1989. Crack markets also produced large spikes in homicide, gang violence, and territorial drug wars. Opioids, less violence associated with distribution, treated increasingly as a public health crisis rather than purely criminal. Conclusion: crack caused more incarceration than urban violence. Family and community damage. Crack, highly concentrated in poor urban neighborhoods, produced gang violence, abandonment of children, community destabilization. The effects linger in some cities decades after. Opioids, much broader demographic impact. Rural America, working class white populations, increasing black overdose rates since 2018. But the crisis often manifests as overdose deaths, unemployment, foster care increases rather than urban violence. Both are bad. I'll take a break, come back, and I'll give you the long-term demographic impacts of both the crack and opioid epidemics, with the opioid epidemic being dramatically more severe and more costly than the crack epidemic. Yet, we black folks still use it as an excuse. Oh, no, I can't come in to work today. My battery died in my car. The crack epidemic again. What? What do you mean the Bucks lost against the Washington Wizards? Oh, it must be the crack epidemic. Must be. What? The Brewers are not going to get a pennant this year. Must be that pesky crack. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Come in with straight truth.
We can do anything when it comes to being organized, when it comes to making sure that we're active, when it comes to making sure that we're holding people accountable and making sure that we get something out of the deal. Y'all don't know how to make deals. Y'all mad at Donald J. Trump because he's trying to make deals or trying to say that he's the master of the art of the deal. Well, okay, What deals is you trying to make?
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
All you have is one chance after an accident, one decision on who to call, one shot to get the help you need. Don't waste it on the one offer you get from your insurance company. Make the one call to Gruber Law Offices. It's the only one you'll need to make. Call us today. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals and the plates are piled high with flavor, and lakefront sunrises set the stage for unforgettable days. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. For more information, check them out at visitmilwaukee.org. Find out about all sorts of great, wonderful, touristy things to do in our city. All right, Jasmine still thinks that more people died from crack because it's been so repeated in the black community over and over and over again. And it's blamed for really every social malady that exists in the black community. I blame racism because we want to look for other things except racism to try and figure out why our community is not doing well. Go back to the very beginning. It has always been white supremacy. Now, there have been other variables, but even those have roots in white supremacy. So whenever we take our focus off of the impact that white supremacy has had on all colonized people, we begin to think that white people aren't racist anymore. I would argue they are more racist now than ever before because their numbers are shrinking and their political influence is reducing. That is why they are going to the lengths that they are going, including banning abortion and having an immigration policy that swoops up anybody, because they got to make sure that anybody of minority status is not allowed here in the United States to try and preserve dwindling white populations. And it's just a natural, normal demographic shift. White people, as a group, they're just older demographically. They're having less kids. They're less fertile. That's just what it is. Minority populations are younger and more fertile. And then as time goes on, those minority populations are going to explode. And then maybe there'll be a time where minority populations decline. And, well, no, because white people are going extinct planet-wide. These wars don't help because here's the part that they don't get. Western European countries and America love to go to war and have military conflict in third world countries, which are countries of people of color. And not everybody in those countries is involved in the military conflict, but when a water desalination plant is bombed, millions of people no longer have fresh water. And so innocent people, women and children and families, are going to go to other places where there's water, refugees. And Europe is closer because you don't got to get on a plane. You can walk to Europe. It's a long walk. But it's the same continent. And also, Europe is not a continent. Can we stop with that? It's the biggest lie I ever told. Europe is Western Asia. It's all one continent. Europe is not. Stop giving Europe status as their own continent. It's not a separate landmass. Europe and China are on the same landmass. India and Europe. It's just white people don't have melanin. That's it. It's the only difference. They're all Asian. Refugees from the countries that are impacted by these wars are going to Europe where the white people are at. And then eventually, more wars, more refugees, more people of color, more people having babies. There you go. The whites they're doing it to themselves. They got nobody to blame but them. All the whites got to do is have babies. Crack cocaine contributed to thousands of deaths annually, but nowhere near the opioid levels. Cocaine-related deaths in the late 1980s and the early 1990s at peak were typically 3,000 to 5,000 deaths per year nationwide. Since the late 1990s, over 600,000 Americans have died from opioid overdoses. Annual deaths peaked above 110,000 in 2023, with most linked to fentanyl. Even after recent declines, overdose deaths from opioids are the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 44. That's all you need to know. Crack was never the leading cause of death between people from 18 to 44. The opioid epidemic has so far cost Americans $2.7 trillion in 2023 dollars. No, that's wrong. $2.7 trillion in the year 2023 alone. That's a lot of money. About 5.7 million Americans living with opioid use disorder currently. In the mid-'80s, at the peak of cocaine uses, there was roughly 5.8 million Americans reporting cocaine use, and not all of them were addicted to crack. Family and community damage. Crack was highly concentrated in poor urban neighborhoods, produced gang violence, abandonment of children, community destabilization. The effects do linger in some cities decades afterwards, but I don't think it's the primary cause of our social maladies. Long-term demographic effects. Here we go. Researchers estimate crack markets had long-lasting crime effects, including the murder rate for young black males doubled after crack's arrival. However, opioids produced declining life expectancy between 18 and 44. It is the leading cause of death. And the first multi-year life expectancy decline in modern U.S. history. Deaths, opioids by far. Economic cost, opioids wins that one too. Addiction prevalence, opioids. Geographic spread, opioids. Crime and violence, mass incarceration, community concentration, crack, crack, crack. And then total national impact. Which epidemic was worse? Crack or opioids? Opioids wins hands down. By total measurable harm to the United States as a whole, the opioid epidemic is the most damaging drug crisis in American history. Opioids caused more death and economic loss. However, crack is responsible for more violence, incarceration, and concentrated community destruction. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, a text message thread from a group chat of young Republican Party members in Florida was exposed. And I want to give the details on this because the impact that 2 Trump terms is having on this nation is impacting things that we may not see. There's a whole nother generation that is coming up with racism being the focal point and the centerpiece of their politics. And these are young people. and they will be running for office. They will be entrepreneurs. They will be on police departments. They will be the folks that are in HR. What Trump has done to the perception of racism is now being enshrined in this youngest group of up-and-coming politicos, and it's going to have a long-term impact. While a lot of us just think, oh, when Trump is president, everything is going to get better, we'll go back to some normal. Get that out of your head because normal does not exist. We also thought we'd get back to normal after COVID. Nope. There will be a new normal, and with this youngest cohort of up-and-coming Republicans, the new normal is being overt about your racism. See, now you can't really say the N-word because, it's in poor taste. And that lady from the Home and Garden television channel that was being filmed, she was doing some home construction work. She said the N-word. This was years ago. It was recorded. The person that recorded it kept it. When she said it, she asked him to delete it because she said the N-word. She blurted it out. He blackmailed her. And because he didn't get whatever it was that he wanted, then the recording of her saying the N-word was released. That's not fair. I don't think that that's fair. And I guess she lost her job, and they pulled all of the reruns and all of the streamed recordings of her Home and Garden television show. And, I guess it is what it is. But what's crazy is that black folks didn't even know who that woman was. We never watched her show. If I asked you what her name was, most of y'all would have to Google it. But we had an absolute fit about some random white woman who had a show that none of us watched and none of us cared about. I could see if she was like the Secretary of the Interior. I could see if she was a leading political candidate. And maybe I'm just either desensitized to it, or I know that you can't put all your effort and energy into worrying about every single white person that uses the N-word. It's the white people that have power, that have impact, and have influence. When they use the N-word, that's where we need to be concerned. But just some random white woman on a Home and Garden television show using the N-word as she's trying to put a nail into a 2x4 and hits her thumb and says the N-word, so what? So I'm more racist than that in traffic. You don't want to be in my car because I don't like the way people drive. Now, it's when I'm by myself, relax. But boy, oh boy, I make up slurs for everybody. Everybody can get it. I don't care what your race is. You cut me off in traffic, I will make up a racial slur for you. Sorry, what do you want me to do? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Dad's gonna be far side, good.
What should I do with my dress?
Do little wiggles. The slate's coming in. What does it feel like when you're down or having a bad day?
It feels sad, like you just don't want to do anything.
All my little emotions in my head is just running crazy. I don't know what to do.
As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed supporting kids' mental health?
I had never experienced players being so down that they can't even participate.
He's just in tears in the huddle. I didn't know what to do.
Teachers need tons of help.
Kids Mental Health Foundation offers educational materials to help guide conversations with our students.
It's so important that we are constantly educating ourselves.
It's the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation has free tools and information developed by experts because kids' mental health starts with all of us. Scan the QR code or check out kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org to get started.
Day 1. Diagnosis day, the hardest day, the day you hear,
I'm sorry, this is a type of blood cancer.
But day 1 is just one day. At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day 1.
On day 45, I discovered an online community who shared great tips for in-treatment care.
I missed a lot of school during treatment, and LLS helped me keep up.
We are here for you. We exist for everyone fighting leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, and other types of blood cancer.
On day 185, LLS helped me file my insurance claims properly.
Day 5,840 and counting, and I'm still in remission.
To learn more and get help on day 1, day 2, day 983, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572. That's LLS.org, 1-800-955-4572.
Thank you, Milwaukee. Because of you, the second annual Truth Community Awards was an unforgettable celebration of the leaders, changemakers, and heroes who make our city shine. A special thank you to our incredible partners, Milwaukee College Prep, the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, Gruber Law Offices, Steinhoffels, Cousins Subs, and 3rd Street Market Hall. And thank you to our presenting sponsor, Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Together, we're celebrating community, culture, and impact. We'll see you next year at the Truth Community Awards. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Andrew texted in and said, Sherwin, wondering if you could comment on the growing concern that the Trump administration is willing to mistreat its base so badly. Foreign wars, high prices, tariffs on rural farmers, etc., because they plan on stealing the midterm elections. No administration that cared about election numbers would be treating its base so badly. But the fact that they clearly don't care is suspicious. Perhaps they've already decided not to play fair in the 2026 election and beyond. Andrew, I'm not entirely sure what you want me to comment on, but I will say this. Donald Trump's base deserves everything they get. Now, unfortunately, those of us who are not in Donald Trump's base are suffering too. But I don't care how bad Donald Trump treats his base. These are the single stupidest, dumbest, anti-intellectual, anti-science, anti-common sense human beings this nation has ever seen. It's because they hate a group of people that Donald Trump also hates. Anybody who is foreign, who is not a citizen, even though Donald Trump's wife is a Nepo baby. That's not the right. What Nepo baby is when you get jobs based on your family. She's a, not Nepo, what do they call it? A transplant baby.
An Epstein acolyte?
What? No, it's a term. Anchor baby. Well, Barron is an anchor baby. But yeah, I care as much about Donald Trump's base as they care about me. It's like if somebody does a drive-by shooting in the black community and the bullet casings that fly out of their AK-47 like burn them, because, you know, bullet casings are hot. And it's like me wanting to feel sorry for the shooter because they got burned by the bullet casings while they were shooting at my people. I don't care. And ask one of them Trump supporters if they care about us. They don't. So they deserve everything they get. If you're a farmer and your farm goes belly up bankrupt because Donald Trump made a deal with a foreign nation to import beef, so what? That's your problem. If you believed him when he said he was going to get us out of all the foreign wars and put us in World War III, so what? That's your fault. You did that. Think I'm supposed to have some kind of sympathy for people that literally want to see me and those that look like me gone? Ha! Problem is, we are all impacted by it. And I don't care how Donald Trump treats his base. They deserved it because they thought they were actually going to get something. You got played just like the prostitutes that he paid. And you fell for it again. What you want me to do about them people? I'm over here every single day providing information that is honest, that is factual, that is truthful, that you can go and vet yourself, but they won't ever listen to any of that because it just makes too much damn sense. This is a case of FAFO. They thought that Donald Trump was going to do something for them. He used you. And I can't feel sorry for you. You're grown adults, and I can say that because people that vote are 18 plus. You're an adult. You got taken advantage of by a man. It's not your first time. And so, no, I don't feel sorry for them, nor do I care how Donald Trump treats them. It's the rest of us I'm concerned about, because millions of us did not want this, did not sign up for this, did not participate in this. And so you get what you deserve, because you would say the exact same thing about us. If we elected a black president and they did a whole bunch of stuff for white people and they played black people and lied to black people, if they promised black people reparations once and we didn't get it and we voted for them again, believing the same lies, that's our fault. Here's what y'all going to have to learn, white folks in your country: responsibility. Yeah, you got to take responsibility for things sometimes. You did this. Yeah, you did. He put us in a war. He said he was going to get us out of the wars. He said he was going to make everything affordable. Tariffs on everything you buy. He lied to you. He ain't lied to me. I knew who he was when he was doing The Apprentice. Oh, look who we got here. This will be a doozy. Hello, Alan. How are you?
This is Adam.
Oh, sorry. They had it as Alan. Hi, Adam. How are you doing, Adam? Sorry.
I'm good for an old guy. I'm calling about the commercial with your man on your station.
Okay.
Talking about the order the deal. Do you your commercials are paid by you? You authorize your commercials?
Absolutely not. I don't even know which one you're referring to.
Well, I didn't want to name him. That Tory Lowe commercial.
Okay.
It's just get to me every time.
So if you hear, just to clear it up for you, Adam, if you hear a promo that features one of us as hosts, no one paid for that. So we don't pay to run promos. Our producers will take segments of what we say and put those in promos or commercials, as you may call them, to promote our respective shows. I think Tori might say something favorite, because I don't listen to him because I have other stuff that I'm doing while the commercials are playing.
Well,
that's what y'all hear.
I don't listen to him either.
Okay.
I stopped listening to him and I found out he was a Trump supporter.
So why don't you call him?
That's why I'm asking you about the commercial.
Okay.
So you explain it to me now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. I'm going to differentiate the thing.
Yeah, it's a promo for his show.
Yeah, but he said. But let me just say, he's talking about the order of the deal.
Okay.
What deal he has made for us? That's what I'm saying. And on your channel, on your thing, on your dime too, I can understand that. That really gets to me.
What Tory has to say about Trump have to do anything with me? That's where I'm confused.
Because it's on your, it's you are on that station. I listen to you, but the only one.
Adam, do you think I own? Adam, hold on, brother. Do you think I own this radio station? I have a show just like four other people.
Wait a minute. Didn't I just ask you?
Why are you arguing with me?
You see, you told me now, and I'm satisfied. You don't have no power over that, so I'm satisfied. Bye.
I think it's because of the crack epidemic is why he's angry. Because if there was no crack, you know what I'm saying, then Adam, who we already started off on a wrong foot with him because I called him Alan, but that's fine. Do you guys know that I'm not responsible for... The only thing that I'm responsible for is what you may hear. No. The only thing that I'm responsible for is my voice between 9 a.m. and noon. Everything else that you hear, the music is me too. I play the music. But the ads, the commercials, and the promos, don't get mad at me because you hear other hosts professing their views on my show. That's to let folks know that are listening to my show that, oh, we have other shows on at different times of the day. And, oh, by the way, those other hosts have different viewpoints. That's the whole point of a promo. So, no, Tory Lowe didn't pay for that. What kind of sense would that even make? Imagine if I had to pay for a promo on the radio station that I work for promoting my show. So, no, that had nothing. Tory, I don't even know what ad it is. I don't even listen to him. I don't listen to the ads because I hear them so many times that even if they're playing, I still don't even hear them. All right. Andrew says, I agree they deserve it. I don't care about them either. I'm just concerned that it's a sign they are ready to steal the election. And if they are preparing to do so, how should we begin preparing to counter? Trump just said that he is not going to sign any legislation until the SAVE Act is on his desk. Andrew, I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know, because we've never dealt with anything like this before. We've never had an authoritarian leader in the United States. And if we would have had one, then I can say, oh, well, this is what we did in history to get ourselves out of it. The only thing that comes close is the rise of Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany. There's a lot of parallels. Nazi Germany had to get defeated in war for them to reinvigorate a much more softer kind of democratic socialist politics and like public interface. They had to lose a war. Thing about us, as long as the world still uses the petrodollar, the United States can lose wars and not really lose any prominence. But I think this one is going to be difficult because nations are starting to realize that just because you have a U.S. military base on your soil in your country, we as America can't even defend our own military bases against Iran. We can't. It's impossible. And they are using $20,000 drones, and we are using $1.7 million missiles, where when it comes to the hypersonic missiles, our interception rate is like 6%. They're going to bankrupt us. They're using their cheap stuff. So I was just watching this thing last night. So we had like 196 of these specific missiles, and we only produce like 40 or 50 a year. The number of missiles that we need to defend against a $20,000 Iranian drone, if we just want to replenish what we've used already, would take 7 years, because we need the facilities, we need the equipment, we need the engineers, we need a whole bunch of stuff which we don't have. The United States military, especially when it comes to protecting foreign military bases, we only made weapons just to maintain, not for wartime production. So just what we've used so far as missiles go would take 7 years to replace. This is this thing called asymmetrical warfare, which Pete Hegseth, who's your Secretary of Defense, knows nothing about. We're losing the war. And they're lying to you about the number of casualties. At least 500 service members are dead. When they hit the military base in Al-Diab, I think I'm saying it wrong because it's an Arabic name. Military bases have got wives, children, other family members, civilians, foreign nationals, and they hit it. I think it was in Qatar. They said, oh, a seventh member of the armed services died. That's what they told us. It's in the hundreds. They're not going to tell you, because if you really found out how many people were dying, the war would be even more unpopular than it actually is. I'm going to take a break, come back. I was going to talk to you about these people in the Republican Party in Florida. And then we're going to talk to Eddie on the other side as well. We got a lot to do in 10 minutes. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship, because that for them is free.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
After a crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. At Gruber Law Offices, we have the knowledge and experience to make sure you're protected. And we're here to help whenever you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always know they belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, and waving from the porch and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to help you. An Axe Housing coach will help you plan, put together a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and a lot of them are paying less than what they were paying for rent. So don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home. Let's talk to good old Eddie, shall we? Hey, Eddie. Thank you for holding. How are you?
Good morning. All right, I'm doing well. Hey, I want to piggyback on that conversation. You had asked the question why people don't call Tori Lowe or the other Dr. Ken, because they're difficult to talk to, I believe. You know, you have your opinions, but you have a way of not becoming argumentative unless that person pushes the button or whatever. But it's easy to talk to you, because when you talk to them, either they're going to take over, and the worst thing, they're going to hang up. They're not going to let you get your point out. And I didn't understand that commercial either that the guy was talking about. You know, it's just things that people say sometimes, and we listen, and then we're like, where did that come from? You know, and then in the beginning, words was used like Republicans and Democrats or whatever. You know, we pay attention, and all of a sudden that strip flips, you know. So you got a big responsibility when you're speaking to the public, and some things you say will come back to haunt you. And this man's supposed to be the art of the deal. You just sit up and talked about, I think you used a number of 6% versus people using frugal aircrafts or whatever to fight, and we're losing. And you try to explain that to people that support Trump, they tell you, oh, that's the Democrats saying that. That's the Democrats saying that. But if it's in writing and it's in numbers and it's coming from research and whatever, what it got to do with if it's a Democrat, Republican, or Homie the Clown says it, if it's in facts, you know. So it's just easier to talk to you regarding conversations and stuff. And a lot of times I think radios use certain commentators use certain words for impact. So you have to listen, you have to do your research. And I don't know what the setup is as far as what the promos, who makes the decision on what the promos are. Is it to get ratings or what? You know, I don't know. But those two people are hard to talk to. And I'm not going to say so much Tory Lowe. But I believe you and this is my perception. I'm not instigating anything or not. But I believe you and Tory Lowe and Dr. Harris, if y'all was in one room debating, it'd break out in a fight, and you'd be the guy that getting jumped on by the other two. So, because I just feel the tension there. I know they make jokes, but I think sometimes people use humor to really say what they feel, and I don't think you too well like for your opinions at the station. So I kind of understand where that guy is coming from. He probably would want to call him, but what's the use if you're going to get argumentative, over-talk, and hung up on? That's not having a conversation. That's like bullying a person because you got the mic. So that's my point on that. Thanks.
Thanks, Eddie. Food for thought. We used to do these specialty shows called Truth on Politics. This was during 2024. And so different hosts would do these on-air panels. And so one week it was myself, Telly, Kyle Wallace. Another week it was Tory, and it might have been Carrie or Ben. And we just would rotate, and we'd have segments, and we'd have topics, and it was all based on politics. There was a show that we did, A Truth on Politics, and I remember you guys talking that entire week because that episode of Truth on Politics was going to feature Dr. Ken, myself, Tory, and I'm not sure who the other person was. It might have been Denise, and everybody was looking forward to it. It was like, ooh, Sherwin, you're gonna put Dr. Ken and Tory in their place. Let's put it this way. After that episode, I never did another one. I just opted not to do it because and I don't know where they get their information from. They have their own beliefs. They're their own people. I don't even want to talk about my colleagues because they have their own shows, their own combined 5 hours in which they can talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. But I was coming from a perspective that was so different that the debate wasn't productive. And you guys have noticed when you get into debates with people that are on the opposite side of an issue, it's almost like they have totally different facts. Like their numbers are different. Like they have a whole different history that they understand. And that stuff is foreign to me because I come from a place and a space and a background where there's literally only one truth. There's only one. You can disagree with the truth. You can write history differently. You can revise history. But there is only one truth. And once you know and understand that single truth, then everything else is very easy to dismiss. See, you guys didn't even let me talk about these people in Florida. I guess I can start the story. We'll finish it tomorrow. A recent uptick in anti-Semitic and racist language being disseminated by younger GOP activists nationwide has largely been fueled by a younger generation that follows extremist online influencers like Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and Republican gubernatorial candidate James Fishback. This appears on the FloridianPress.com. It now has spread to the Miami-Dade Republican Party. In a disturbing series of group chat entries obtained by the Floridian, Miami GOP Secretary Abel Alexander Carvajal ran a group chat in which the N-word was used over 200 times, and members celebrated the removal of an African-American activist from the FIU, that's the Florida International University College Republicans. Something else that should be noted, Republicans don't even respect black Republicans. I can't speak for them because I'm not one of them, but they believe that they, as a black Republican, when they go to events, when they go to meetings, when they participate with the Republican Party, they think that they are one of them, that they're a part of the group. They call you a nigger too. But hold on, but that's not going to change their perspective because there are some black people that like Trump, and there's nothing I can do about that. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.
Milwaukee business owners, this is your moment. Every Friday at 8 a.m., call in to 101.7 The Truth for What the Business Is. Tell us what your business is, where you're located, and one thing you've learned along the way. What the Business is powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local business. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth.
Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
Another function of white supremacy, don't teach black people stuff, because if you give us a little bit of knowledge, we'll invent something totally new. That's why it was illegal to teach